All right, I first started thinking about this project. I mean, I've been working on it for about 4 years. There were a bunch of things that came together that made me think of it. I grew up with Reagan as my president, sort of through pivotal years. And I remember him getting shot. I remember him, Iran, Contra, and all the stuff they went through. My parents were really sort of liberal political people, so I was always aware of it. And I remember specifically the day that, not the day, but sort of the time period where there were a ton of cuts in mental health and the streets just became flooded with homeless people and sort of insane people. And it was really a profound moment in my life because I'd never really seen it as on such a scale. So that stuck with me.
And it leaves little doubt in this reporter's mind that this war, and perhaps all war, is undeniably evil.
I used to go to these crazy concerts when I was younger, and it's just this whole wild world, and it's sort of been tapped on before, but I really wanted to try to capture the feeling of them. And I love horror movies. I love the genre.
You're making a fool of yourself.
It's really funny because it's sort of an excuse for me to work with all my friends. And, granted, I'm asking them all for favors and being like, please, just do this. But what it all amounted to is just having the best group of people around and all my best friends in the same place.
You think this is a joke? It's not. If you don't leave, you will die!
Well, Paul Reubens, I met on Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
I turned David Arquette into a vampire in the movie version of Buffy the Vampire Slayer, so we've had a very special bond ever since that time.
And we just hit it off. We've been best friends ever since. He's just one of my closest friends. He's just a great, great person. And what has really been amazing about this experience is that I worked with him on Buffy, and I remembered, but I hadn't seen him on a set since. And he's such a ham that it's hilarious to see him messing around with wardrobe and makeup and all the other actors and just totally riffing all the time. It's sort of like him in his element.
Gentlemen, there's a saying. Rome wasn't built in a day. I got a little saying of my own. Fuck Rome.
So the next time I worked with him, I said, Paul, just let it flow. I mean, that's, you do that so great. It's so funny. And he came up with this whole cursing thing that's taken on its own sort of life.
Fuck you. Uh-huh. Fuck you. Uh-huh. Fuck you.
Thomas Jane is, for one, my future brother-in-law. But he's also just an amazing actor that I've always respected and really loved his work, and he's so subtle and so unique and interesting, and his choices for characters have been really just diverse.
I love working with David. He's a really fun guy. I have a lot of fun, and there's a feeling of familiarity on the set that I think lends a relaxed atmosphere. Makes for some good work too,
So I gave the script to Thomas, and I just was like, no pressure, just read it, tell me what you think. And he dug it, he got it immediately. And it's really been either people get it or they kind of don't understand it. But he got it right off the bat, and him getting on board really kind of made it all come together. Once he was there, it was it became realistic.
I'm Rambo. I am Rambo.
Lukas Haas is also one of my best friends. We met on John's years ago and have stayed super close ever since. He's like my brother.
Well, I got involved with this movie because David Arquette's one of my best friends and has been for years now. So he actually called me just about 2 months ago. I've known he was making this project for a while, and he's been mentioning it to me, but a couple months ago he called me and just asked me if I would do it, and you know, I love the script. It's hilarious. You know, I love funny movies, and this movie's really, really funny, and so I wanted to do it.
And just having him on this film is just, I really think he's one of, he amazes me. His acting is effortless. I don't have to direct him really. I mean, you know, I have to throw a thing in there once in a while, or tell him to try it a little this way or that way, but he's kind of always on it. He's just such a pro. He's been doing it for so long that it's amazing to watch. You know, as an actor, I'm learning a lot from watching him, and as a director, it just makes it all pretty easy.
As a director, he knows actors. He knows how to talk to people. He's, you know, just a really wonderful, warm person, and I think it is obvious, you know, getting to work with him. He knows what he's doing, and he does it really well.
Jamie King came in and wanted to meet on it and read it and got it and understood and came to the office, and I just saw her and I was like, you're perfect. I mean, the fact that you liked it in general just kind of, I don't know why it surprised me, but I was so happy. I called up her agent and just like begged him, and she was game. She really wanted to do it.
He's really cool. He's just, you know, he's such a rad guy. He's really down to earth and really fun, and you can just see that he really loves what he does. And to me, part of working with someone that makes it really great is when they're enthusiastic about what they're doing, and it's just I feel very blessed to be a part of something that, you know, it's his first time directing, and you know, I think that with each first-time director, it's like their little baby, and it's something that he wrote, and you know, it has a lot to say. I mean, it's a political satire and a horror film at the same time, but if you really look into it, there's a lot, I think, that people can take out of it, and you know, people can, each kind of person can take out something for themselves, and like I said, you know, it's just so great because he just gives such awesome direction, because he's an actor, that he really understands where you're coming from as an actress or an actor, and he knows what to say to get you into the place that you need to be for the scene.
What she's brought to the character has been really so many different levels. I mean, it's a really complex character, and she's stuck in the middle. She's your you know, not damsel distress, but she's like your horror movie heroine. You know, your typical. Well, it's not really typical in this. She, you know, gets really wasted at the end by accident, and everything goes crazy. And the levels that she's bringing to it are so interesting and so subtle, and also incredibly extreme, that, you know, I'm amazed by her performance in this. I think it's really going to be a classic performance in a horror movie. I got to toot her horn.
What was that?
Acid.
Jason Mewes is just, he read the script, he also got it, and for him to deliver this, a line, no one could have played this part the way he does.
This is my town, son, okay? I'd appreciate it if it were treated with a little more respect from those that live here and those that are just passing through.
Sir, will you spank me? My father never spanked me. I'm in desperate need of discipline.
I mean, it's almost like it was written for him. It's so, every line that he does, the role of Joey, it comes out so natural and so effortless, and he's hilarious. I mean, he's such a funny guy, and it's a different character in this. You know, he's really kind of brings a lot of different levels to it.
I don't know. I read it. It seemed interesting. It was horror. I haven't done horror before, so it's a little different character than I've had played in the past. So I figured it'd be fun to do something a little different. So that's mainly it. The characters is different than what I've been doing. It's pretty much play the same character in all my movies, which is Jay. So this was a little different, which is a little similar to Druggy kind of dude, but more out there and crazy. So.
Anyone know where I could get some fucking beer?
Nitrous.
Nitrous.
All 6 of them make up this group of just, it's fun. I mean, when the first day we were all together in the van, they were all together in the van, I said, you guys are perfect. I mean, they really are. They're sort of chemistry together, you know, the ones who have to flirt with each other or flirting with each other, and they just, you know, all of the relationships are working.
Well, actually, it was very last minute for me. I literally got a call saying that I'd been offered a role in David Arquette's directorial debut. I would have to leave in a day or two, and the script was on the way. So I was like, oh, you know, and I was excited because, you know, David seemed like a cool guy. I mean, I'd never met him before, but and he'd written it too. So I basically was like, okay, well, assuming the script isn't terrible, then, you know, I'd be happy to do it. So I got the script and, of course, loved it and signed on to do it. It happened over the weekend, I think, and then I had to come out here to Boulder Creek.
What attracted me to the project? They said, would you like to do it? No, it was incredible. It was a very funny script. I like the fact, I love horror movies. I've always been way into horror movies and gore, Evil Dead and whatnot, Fangoria magazine. Plus the fact that it's got, you know, a political side to it with Ronald Reagan. I'm from Northern California and I love the Redwoods. My dad worked for the Park Service, so it's kind of get to be funny, get to be bloody, and it's got a social conscience.
Well, I met David and that and attracted me to the project. He's incredible, and he just told me, like, briefly, it's about a bunch of hippies that get slain by a serial killer dressed up as Ronald Reagan, and I thought that was hysterical, and that I'd like to be a part of that.
Chris Nelson is blowing me away by far. Like, as far as like kind of like blind faith, he has been the smartest choice that I made as a director.
Through the years, I met a lot of people and learned a lot about acting and continued to study, and then I decided to go back to it and really pursue it. It's something I needed to do. So one of the projects I had done makeup-wise was with David Arquette on a pilot for a TV show that he was producing. And I had done David's makeup. And we had talked a lot about acting and things like that, and he had recognized me from 1 or 2 things that I had been in, and we talked about it. And then a little while more down the line, this project came up. I got a call out of the blue. I was sitting at home.
So I just called him up. I said, Chris, what are you doing? And he's like, nothing. And I said, you want to play the killer in this movie? He was like, hell yeah. And then came over, got the script, read it. And I was like, can you do impersonations? He's like, yeah.
I find him a really complex character. It's really 2 different guys. Absolutely. Gus is obviously has a lot of problems going on in his head and had spent some time in the hospital and has been lobotomized to a certain extent, and they cut out a piece of his brain, but he still is able to function, and it's a very different guy, a very seemingly sweet guy, a very seemingly gentle and quiet guy.
No respect for anything.
I was just a kid when Reagan was president, and I was way too stoned to really know what he was doing. It wasn't until later that I learned a little bit about Ronnie and Bonzo and the other crowd that were running the country at that time.
I mean, it's entertaining. I think that the film will be very entertaining, but at the same time, that backdrop is kind of the whole idea. I mean, you know, if you look at what's going on today with, you know, the war and Republicans versus Democrats, and the way that you know, everybody's split down the middle, and it's like, and the media has so much to do with getting the message out, but that's convoluted too. I mean, I think it's just speaking to what we're going through.
My fellow Americans, major combat operations in Iraq have ended. In the Battle of Iraq,
you know, he's not just the greatest American president, he's just, wow.
It should be seen as irreverent. You know, I mean, I think people might get upset, but it should be somewhat irreverent, but at the same time it is making a political statement. There are a lot of little political statements made there. I mean, we're living in a time when it's very difficult to not be political, you know, and the backstory in this story is right out of the books. I mean, you know.
I feel that in this current political climate, I think it's, I'm excited about the fact that Reagan is in this script. And I'm going to be really interested, we were talking about this the other day, I'm going to be really interested to see what people have to say about it. I don't know so much about the drug element with Reagan. I'm English. I mean, you know, I don't know if that, I don't know. Sorry. I'm good with American politics right now since I've been living in this country, but, you know, I was dealing with Margaret Thatcher in Reagan's time.
That was one of the things I love most about the script. I think that'll set it apart, set the movie apart from so many horror films. There's no reason, because it's a horror film, that it can't have some relevance, you know, to what's going on, even though Ronald Reagan's not going on. But growing up in Northern California, I recall vividly my parents talking about Reagan's comment about the redwoods. You know, you've seen one redwood, you've seen them all. And also when I guess he cut the funding, and a lot of the homeless in San Francisco, I don't know the technicalities of it, but it increased to a large degree because he had cut the funding for social services, and they just let all these people out. So I recall seeing homeless people and having that conversation with my dad when I was a kid, like, why are there so many people here? And him talking about Ronald Reagan and how a lot of them are mentally ill and, you know, have drug problems and should be somewhere being taken care of. So I think it's great how he's incorporated that into the, you know, into the horror film.
Well, there you go again.
You know, I was talking about this too, David, actually, how many serendipitous moments there have been on this movie. Things happening by accident, but feeling like they were meant to be. Lots of really good things. The way that the day was, the way the sun is shining through a specific tree, the way a shot, even though we only did it in one take, everything seemed to come together and work perfectly for that. The colors within the colors of this forest, the trees and the green and the brown, yet injecting colors like this suit and the blue suit and how it stands out and all that. It's just been amazing. It's been, like I said, if I had one word to sum it up, it would be serendipitous. This movie, there are things that have been happening for a reason, and I believe that in this movie, which makes it very magical.